Welcome back. We're here with John Hammock and Angelo Cortica. And yeah, we wrapped up the tournament here, and John Hammock was our overall winner. Angelo was amongst the pack, kind of tied for second. I think he ended up in fourth-ish place, but he was tied with all the other 12-pointers who were at that second place, so second to fifth.
Yeah, we had up to sixth place were 12 points. So we had a good top half there.
Yeah, and to be honest, nobody went undefeated today.
Nope.
And as we've said a bunch of times, there are a bunch of cool things. But yeah, John, tell us a little bit about your deck. I've talked about it with some other people, but we've seen it on stream.
I mean, really, it's just everything I want to do in Magic is just like counter shit and kill creatures and tell people to fuck off, and then cast a big Urza's Rage. It's like, we're done here. Let's shuffle these cards up and do another one. And it's not like good, but it's just the Magic that I like to play, and like kind of like the type of Magic that I grew up idolizing, which was very much that like hard control deck where you're just like, oh, I have all the card draw and all the answers, and I play everything super tight. And I don't, but they do, like the people that I look up to. So like that's kind of where the deck came from. It's just like, oh, it's Grixis control deck, and I'm like, creatures suck. I'll play one just for the memes, really, and just try to Urza's Rage people out and chip shot them with Undermine.
And what was your or I shouldn't say what was. I should say I know that your deck has a special theme to it.
Oh, right. So it's all gold bordered. So
Yeah.
That was the other part. Like growing up, the World Champ decks were a way for me to get like the cool cards, because otherwise you had to buy them from packs or whatever, and it was just like we didn't have that kind of money. But you could go buy a World Champs deck for like $10 and get like all these really sweet cards. Like the first Force of Will I ever owned was the gold border Force of Will. And I played like unsleeved Stasis. That was the first deck it ever went in, and I was just like, well, it's the only one I could find. Sorry. And people are just kind of like, okay. Like it was bad. It was awful, right? But like that was like middle school. And so when I was building the deck, I'm like, well, I want it to only be gold border. Like, and it didn't hurt me too much in the main deck, but it definitely hurts in the sideboard.
Oh yeah.
So like, but like that was like kind of a deck constraint that I wanted to add that fit with the theme and the middle school and all that kind of stuff for me. So it was a lot of fun.
Well,
Nice.
tell me a little bit about your Urza's Rage, because I know that you have three of them in the deck. Does only one have the kill count on it?
It does, and it's like a collective kill count. So this one has been marked Yeetus Deletus. And basically every time I kill somebody with an Urza's Rage, I put a little tick on it, and there we go. And I started the tournament honestly at 8, and I ended the tournament at 12. Like I didn't really get that many Urza's Rage kills.
That seems still pretty good. I think that's about what I would have expected. If you were higher than that, I would have been really surprised.
Yeah, everything else was mostly like chip shot damage, or like I would like set up and just be like, fuck it, I'll Urza's Rage, and they're at like 2. Or, like in the game against Sam, where it's like, I can Urza's Rage you and you're at 1, and you have a City of Rat, and it's just like things where you're like, yeah, like that's kind of how it worked out. So, so the number's ever growing, but yeah, today we only added 4 notches to its belt. But it's fine. Yeah. Not unhappy.
And Angelo, this was your inaugural middle school tournament, right?
Yeah, I've been buying and brewing middle school decks like since quarantine started, and then you got me in on this Discord. So I've been trying to test with people, and I think John was actually the first person I played against that wasn't Jake on a webcam match, and so yeah, last night he helped me figure out just a couple of things with this red-white deck, and I was like, I'm gonna run it because it actually beat him the 2 matches we played with it, or the 2 games we played with it, pretty handily.
Yeah.
So,
what
pyroclasms out? And...
What were the changes that you made?
Originally, I had 4 pyroclasms in there and 4 enlightened tutors, and the tutors weren't doing anything. I'm going to switch those out for scroll racks now that I know that card exists. And then the pyroclasms, he basically made a great point that there's not a lot to do with those that I'm not already beating, like Pro Red versus Goblins and stuff. And then the sideboard, that sideboard tech that you told me about was pretty good. I never actually got to use the Phyrexian Furnaces and Tormod's Crypts, but just having them as threats and having people play around them was instrumental. So,
well, and man,
I don't know the combos in the format,
Yeah, I don't know how many Pyroblasts you were on originally, but Pyroblast looked really good when you had it in those other matches.
Pyroblast was good, yes. Yeah, I started playing in 1994. I'll never forget. It was it might have been the end of '93. It was right when Revised came out, and I went to the mall to go buy a Revised starter deck, and I got like one of the last ones because they were selling like hotcakes. And then I just shuffled it and played Magic with my friends, 5-color train wreck. And then Fallen Empires came out, started buying Fallen Empires cards and just jamming them in the deck. And then I realized that
Oh
my
no.
lands to card ratio was off, right? So then I thought, okay, maybe I should like learn how to play this for
Later.
real. And then I started playing locally around town. In '98, I sold my collection when I went to college because, you know, girls, alcohol, which is like I remember I won a box of Urza Saga at Compendium Collectibles. I beat the Harbargers, both of them, the dad and the son. And the son was pissed because he wanted that box. And I got home and I ripped all those cards open. And I remember looking at things like Tolarian Academy and like some of these cards and thinking, I have to own 4 of these to be competitive. And I'm 18 years old. I don't have the money to buy all these cards. So I'm out. That was part of the reason I dropped it for a while. And then I started again when never played again. No, I started again when I moved to Cincinnati, and then sold my collection again about 4 years ago. And so lately, I've just been buying everything that I ever wanted. That's under $5. So it's a real terrible pile of cards, which is perfect for middle school. Yeah.
Yeah, middle school is great. Like $30 and you can buy a whole deck. This is awesome.
Like the new stuff's not making me happy. What makes me happy is the old bordered cards and the gold bordered cards. And I mean, I got right here. I'll show this off.
Hell yeah!
I got my deck box full of black border deck or gold border decks.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah,
I've had the Preston Poulter one I got in a tournament in '96 when I went to Origins. They passed out one deck per person. Everybody who got the Locanto deck was pissed because that deck has no way to win in 50 minutes.
Yeah,
it's true. They could not beat the time. So yeah, it's been a long time. I live in Cleveland. Yeah, born and raised.
Yep. And actually, Angelo and I used to work together when I was at St. Ed's as a teacher for a while.
nice.
And I got to beat little kids, high schoolers in Magic a lot with him.
Sometimes.
Yep. Yeah. Quote that. Screen cap that one.
The highlight reel.
Well, yeah, and I've asked this question to a bunch of people today. I think I might have asked it to Angelo already, but what's your favorite deck you played against today?
The Tinker deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Tinker deck was cool. I never got to see it do its thing.
Oh
Yeah.
no, it did its thing against me for sure. One game, it was not pleasant, but it was awesome.
But you were its 2 losses, right? The 2 of you guys were its losses.
I think.
No, I beat the Tinker deck.
Yeah,
I hacked those metal workers to bits. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the 2 of you guys were the only people that he lost to.
Right. I beat the Tinker deck too. Yeah, like a disc is a hell of a card against Tinker, right? When you can kind of sneak one in.
Mm-hmm.
And the game that I actually like, game 3, he has a choice between helixing me enough to keep me from casting a disc and then going to 2 or not, and he chooses to lock me out a disc, and 3 turns later I drew a bolt and was able to kill him.
Nice.
Like with the I was under Winter Orb Helix, but I could still bolt him. No, I didn't have the disc. But I still think with this board, it was correct to play around disc as opposed to play around bolt.
Yeah, I mean, you only have like 2 bolts, right? 2 or 3 bolts.
I do only have 2 bolts, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and Angelo, you were saying you beat up those metal workers pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, that card's really scary.
It's a lot of mana.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal in that last game.
I boarded up to 61 against him because I brought in the misdirection just to meme him. just in case like he casts like his big stroke. I was just like, I kind of want to get you, so this is just for fun. I did not get to pull that off, but I got the W, so I'm not like unhappy. But
Yeah.
I felt the matchup was so bad. I was like, I'm gonna present a meme. Like here we go. Like, and
funny.
I drew it. He just didn't have the stroke, so I had to pitch it to a force later. It sucked.
I would think that's a pretty good matchup for you, actually, John. I was thinking that yours was the deck. If I was on his, that I would be scared of.
Yeah, the 3 disc post board are like huge, right? Like that's really like the big part. And I've got a lot of 2-mana answers to Metalworker, things like that. It's just still possible for him to get underneath all of that. Like if he just goes like turn 1 Winter Orb like he did, and 7 or 8 of my lands coming to play tapped, I'm just like, oh, right, yeah, like my tap lands are just like, oof. So I am playing Underground River and Shivan Reef. So I've got the Pain lands. I'm playing the tap lands though versus something like Polluted Delta because I can't get Polluted Delta in Gold Border. So like again, the deck would probably be more optimal versus with 4 Polluted Deltas and like a single swamp versus 4 Salt Marsh, but it doesn't fit. Like I can't get a Gold Border Polluted Delta, so I'm playing the Salt Marshes. So yeah.
I will say that your mana base did you less damage than almost anyone's today. The two of you, so maybe that says something too, to being at near the top of the standings and not having a mana base that just like annihilates your life total. Is
Yeah.
a real
Oh no, I like Ancient Tomb and City of Brass were my MVPs in other people's decks.
Sure.
Like they did 5 to 6 damage over the course of a game, and I was like, that's 2 cards for me. Like that's great. I just drew 2 cards and then killed you.
So I definitely won a few games at like 3 or 4 life, which would have been, land damage had I been playing Pain lands. So
yeah,
might be a thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the reason that those decks like that Stompy deck and stuff can live in the format. Like the green Stompy deck says, "Don't stumble," and also if you deal yourself 4 extra damage, you're dead. Like, so yeah, no, I felt like that was a good. That both having solid mana bases, I think that might be a thing in the format.
And honestly, like I'm not like some people in like chat and the last match I played, he had a Blood Moon. I won a game with a Blood Moon in play because like I have 4 Undermines, a couple Duresses, and maybe like a Lobotomy. So like yes, if I'm cut off from black, it kind of sucks, but like it's not the end of the world because I still play like 8 islands.
Yeah.
So like I had a Blood Moon resolve against me on turn 3, and I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
Blood Moon.
That was against that. Yeah, that was that Erratic Explosion deck, right?
Yeah, it was Erratic Explosion.
Yeah. Angelo played against that deck as well.
I won the match by misdirecting an Erratic Explosion.
You told me that.
That's the best.
It felt good. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah.
Oh man, that deck though, I was impressed by that. I feel like I've seen, I've heard people talk about it a little bit, but they're like, oh, it's not possible without Brainstorm. The whole thing. Scroll Rack looks great in that deck. Gush plus Scroll Rack looks insane.
He had turn 2 Scroll Rack every game, and I was on the back foot the whole time. Yeah. Like basically every time he initiated an Erratic Explosion, I had 3 counters.
Yeah,
that was the only way I was able to like stay in it. I had 10 cards left in my library. I had bottomed a Nurse's Rage from a mulligan, so like I had the top card was the top card was my AK for 4, which would have got me to the Urza's Rage to kill him, but still it was just like, yeah, I was able to still Misty the Erratic Explosion. It was like that classic blue mirror where you're both back and forth, these huge stack battles. It clears 6-7 turns of Drago, land, like yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
tired.
It makes me feel like Scroll Rack is underplayed in the format. I really had a strong feeling that Scroll Rack should just be played with land tax, and now I feel like maybe there's more unexplored space. It seems really powerful.
No, in that deck for sure. He had like 11 cards in hand, and he racked multiple times in our match. Because with Gush, right? Like Gush rack, and he's like, I only need 3 mana. I'm just like, fuck, this is so bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Running fetches with Scroll Rack is probably the closest thing we have to Brainstorm, right?
Yeah, like, it was real good.
Yeah. No, I was impressed overall with a lot of the decks I saw today. People did stuff that I didn't think was possible. There was a Hatred deck running around that's awesome. He had Lake of the Dead and Culling the Weak to cast it. So multiple ways to have turn 3 hatred and attack you for your life total.
With Raging Goblin or just random shit. That's so
Just,
awesome.
black creatures. Yeah, I think he has 8 1-drop Carnophage and Sarcomancy.
Okay, yeah. I mean, all those get there. That's so badass.
Yeah. Well, I think that's another card that I've talked about a little bit recently. We were talking about Lake of the Dead as an accelerant and how maybe more of us should try that out. Like, is that better than Cabal Coffers? It's possible that it is. It makes a ton of mana. Maybe the Necro decks were missing that. I don't know, for Drain Lives or something.
There was some number in that Lara Potence deck from trivia last night, and I got that wrong. We didn't we got browned by that question. So good one, Nat. Like we got 3 out of 7 points from the Lara Potence deck. Like, yeah.
You're welcome. I thought more people would know more about that deck. I was surprised, but I mean, I'm the one who built it, so like, I guess I've looked at it more than other people.
I think of the 3 teams, there was one team that got 2 points, one team got 3 points, and 2, 3, and 5. It was just like, oof.
But I guess I was kind of surprised just because, like, if you were thinking about the deck, like some of the cards were in order and some of the cards were by card type, so like I thought maybe you could divine some of the cards more easily than people did. So
We looked at the size of the erasers and got 2.
I mean, I'm not hiding those. Like, maybe I should make them bigger so you can see them easier.
Who won trivia?
Team PBJ and Jimmy or something. PBJJ and Jimmy.
PB and JJ and also Jimmy. So
That's
Paul Blakely, John Pogemeyer, and also Jimmy.
Nice.
Yep.
So they did a great job. We had a lot of fun. I've enjoyed putting the trivia together, and I'm glad people have enjoyed participating.
It was much closer than the first one.
Yeah. And I think that's good, and it was fun. In the first one, your team sort of pulled ahead, and we kind of had a chase. But and in this one, everyone was sort of jockeying for position. It ended up being really close. It was within 3 points, I think.
It was 1 point difference going into the final round. So it was a tight race. It was really good, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep not being able to do that because I know I'm going to commit a whole day to
Saturday
the tournament or and so it's hard for me to have multiple evenings in a row or whatever.
Yeah.
As you know, as you're holding your baby, which by the way, isn't it past his bedtime? Seems like. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh no, he doesn't go to bed until late. We're 2 feedings away from bed.
Man, that's a different life. Although I do remember when Nolan had to eat multiple, like couldn't not eat every 4 hours or whatever, and that was tough. But well, yeah, guys. I mean, I hope you had fun today. I hope you enjoyed the format and the tournament. Will we expect to see you guys both in UX when that comes up next month?
Yes, I'll be there for UX. I'm gonna lean pretty hard on Brassman, I think, to get me a deck, just because I don't. He's brewing like 1 billion and doesn't want to play any of them, so I'm hoping that there's like one left over that I can pick up. Yeah,
sounds right.
But I will play regardless. Like, and maybe it'll just be something boring, but yeah, I'm gonna play UX for sure.
Well, any vintage deck is legal, so you can just play any of the current vintage decks if you want to really.
Right, I'll just play something with. I'll play something with like 4 Tinkers and just be like, okay, we're calling this good.
It's still a deck.
5 color Ren and 6 in UX, sure, I'll play that. That sounds hot.
Angelo, are you thinking about playing that, or is another new format a little bit much for you?
I've never played vintage before. I just proxied up a whole ass vintage deck. So unless you want to sit down
vintage won't help you here. So
yeah, unless you want to sit down and test that with me for a little bit, I might try it out. But I'd rather do another middle school thing. When are you guys gonna do this again?
Probably a month, right?
We'll do it again. It's all a matter of scheduling around my life. But other people are allowed to run things if anyone else wants to run one.
I've also heard rumors of a league coming up. I think our vintage league is wrapping up, and there's been rumors of a middle school league where you get to play a couple different decks and stuff.
That would be hot.
We'll keep that out there. If you're in the middle school Discord, or if you're interested in that, hit me up. We'll we'll let people know. But yeah, otherwise, thanks guys both for playing. Thanks for doing well in the tournament today and bringing cool decks.
Let me just announce one more time the next event we're going to have in the Team Series virtual realm is the Vintage Unleashed UX format. So there are rules for that. They've been posted on the Mana Drain. Joe Dyer wrote an article about it. We're going to have a serious vintage episode coming up about it. A lot of fun, a lot more counterplay, interplay than people expected. It's basically vintage with 27 cards unrestricted. So pretty powerful, but pretty fun. That event is going to be July 11th, also a Saturday. The day before, July 10th, we're going to have another pub quiz that'll start at 7 p.m. Eastern. The tournament, July 11th, is going to be at noon again. And that's all I have to say about that.
Hi, Jesse.
Yeah, to reiterate, that format's great. It has been super fun. I've play tested. I would say I'm probably in the top 3 players of that format currently. And it's tons of fun. I thought it would be kind of fun, then broken, and then terrible. And so far, it's been great. So, if you're interested in checking that out, it's a lot of fun. And I know people have been looking for pickup games of it too. So if you're into it, let me know.
It's a lot of fun if you like a particular era of Vintage and miss playing decks of that era. It's a lot of fun if you missed out on playing a card that you want to play, or if you miss playing a card that got restricted. Someone was accusing me of creating the format so that I could play Dig Through Time again. That might be true. Who knows? I may totally have done that.
Yeah.
So Dig Through Time and Gush is a thing. Channel is a thing. Anything you can think of, you can probably do.
Channel.
Trinisphere. If you miss Trinisphere, this is your format.
If you miss Trinisphere, you're a bad fucking person. But okay, like this is so we can still let them in. We can let them in, but we'll shun them at the same time.
Everyone will have fun. It'll be great.
Yeah.
I'm playing Channel.
Everybody fucks weird to somebody else. I get it. Yeah. But
exactly. But so July 11th is that event. There's information on the Mana Drain, or contact me on Twitter, or find someone else to give you information. We'll talk about it. You'll hear. That's July 11th, and thanks everyone for being at this event. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having it. You guys are awesome today.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody. Thanks, Nat. Thanks, Jimmy, for producing.
Yeah. Thanks
to the silent
producer, Jimmy McCarthy.
The man in the shadows, Jimmy McCarthy.
Jimmy says it was a blast. Thanks, Jim, for doing all the commentary. That was great.
Yep, Jimmy saying huge thanks to Jake, Nat, and Steve for doing some commentary today. So Steve filling in. Yeah, he filled in. Let you feed the baby and whatnot. So that was great.
I've always wanted to see you breastfeed, Nat, but I guess in this case, no.
I don't know if that violates.
It's not even.
I don't know if that violates TOS or not. I don't know. That's weird. He has nipples. You could milk him. All right. Love you guys. Y'all take care.
Thanks again.
Bye.